All right, Patrick. So thanks for coming on the podcast with me from sunny Pittsburgh. Is it nice out there today, or it's hot here?
Man, it's been hot all summer, so
Yeah.
we're enjoying the weather for sure.
Look, it could be worse. We could be in Houston. I was just on a call to somebody from Houston, and I don't know what she's doing on a Zoom call. I think you have to evacuate, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, in 100 degrees,
Yeah,
evacuate. Yeah, for
exactly.
sure. Texas is hot from top to bottom right now.
Well, it looks like the storm's not going to really hit you guys. I think it's kind of swinging. Maybe a little bit, a little rain, but I think it's swinging over towards me as it goes north. But typical summer is
Right.
what it's been. So let's talk about. We're going to get into all the things you're doing now, but maybe you want to give me some background about you know. Are you from Pittsburgh originally? How you got into all the entrepreneurial stuff you're doing, and then we'll talk
Sure.
about the businesses you're doing now because you do a
Yeah.
lot of passive income type of stuff, right?
Absolutely, Mitch. And well, grew up in central Pennsylvania, Altoona, so State College, Penn State.
Sure.
Right there was where I was from. And the day I could leave, I did. So immediately, the best view of that town was in my rearview mirror,
Okay.
just because I was, wanting to do big things and felt I was
But you're still
restricted by.
Pennsylvanian at heart, right? So you stayed
Yeah,
in
you
Pittsburgh.
listen, a Steeler fan. There's some things that
Okay.
never change,
Right.
growing up in this part of the country. So immediately got a chance to go to college, did the college thing, and afterwards went out to Philadelphia. And that's really what started my whole entrepreneurial endeavor. In
Okay.
school, always looking for things you could do to make money. Got out of school, started a couple businesses out of the gate.
Okay.
Nothing fancy, cutting the grass, washing
Just
cars.
just hauling ass and making
Mm-hmm,
money.
absolutely.
Okay. It's always good experience, right? When you're young. I did the same thing. I, mowed lawns and shoveled and we did detailing. It was getting to be big then. I used to
Yeah,
sweat all summer detailing
yeah.
people's cars. So
I'd go right to them too. I would
yeah.
I would go
Yeah,
right
we
to
would
the
do the same thing.
consumer.
We'd go to their office building and put in
Yeah,
the
for
parking
sure.
lot. And people would
That's
line
fun.
up. They'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
can you do my car? And I
yeah, yeah.
realized it was a marketing
Yeah,
technique.
it was unbelievable. And then I would just start just cleaning cars, and then people would come out and be like, "Oh, I didn't say." I was like, "Oh, no, that's okay. Pay me whatever you want."
Right.
So we would
And
just,
they would feel
then
bad.
we
They
just,
pay you
yeah, that's
anyway.
it. Your car looks beautiful. I can't stand a
Right.
dirty car. So
Right. That's funny. Okay. So that was your early days.
yeah, that was sort of kicking off. And hey, look, that was out of college too. So you know what I
Right.
mean? When everybody else is doing the resume and, going on the interview, I was like already starting to go into that entrepreneurial
Because
direction.
you
Like I
just didn't
knew,
want to be
nah, I
in the
didn't want a
corporate world,
boss.
wasn't,
Nah.
yeah.
My
You got to be a certain
father,
kind of person, to,
what really triggered it for me was my dad was in the pharmaceutical world.
okay.
And for 33 years, I mean, company guy, do anything the company asked.
Right.
And then, as his 33rd year, they said, "Hey, we got a couple new guys. We'd love you to train them up." And, my father, absolutely. And it's an honor. And he trained up his replacements.
And they replaced them.
Right. And so,
Toe the
you know,
company line and they tow you right out the door.
yeah, and to see that as a young man, seeing your father try to recreate his success, if you will, deep into his 50s, like that sort of said, "Hey, I'm not going down that road. I'm going to be self-employed. No one's going to fire me. I'm going to always have the opportunity to control my destiny." So that was a motivator in itself. I can remember even my fraternity brothers, "Hey, can your dad get us in at the pharmaceutical company?" I'm thinking, it doesn't end pretty. You know what
Yeah,
I
right.
mean? Like,
That's not a favor, me getting you
yeah,
in at the
yeah,
pharmaceutical
right.
company.
Yeah. You're gonna make some money, you're gonna lifestyle up, and
Yeah.
then they're gonna say, "Hey, we can get some people to do it for less."
Yeah. And you have no fallback. You don't, I mean, when you're in sales and marketing and you're an entrepreneur, your industry goes bad. You can do anything,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Your skill sets with it, your contacts are with it, the network you've built, if you will. So, left that, went into home alarms. So
Okay.
got the concept of residual income, monitoring a home is pennies. So if you understand that, the
This is to
equipment
do the
costs and
monitoring, not like the
yeah,
installs and
no, we were
stuff.
doing it all. Sell the
Oh,
sell
okay.
sell the units,
Right.
take the customer on, and then package up the monitoring. So if you had enough customers, the residual or the
Yeah.
passive income is really in the
Yeah, my guy
monitoring.
just sold his business to a younger guy. He's got all the residuals. But now in those days, they didn't have all these wireless, easy install systems. You needed an installer, right, to wire things. And
You did, but that was always somebody else, and they're pretty easy to find, and package that price in the
so
overall
you would
cost.
subcontract that out, basically.
Correct. And I was in Tennessee is when I kicked that off in the
Okay.
Nashville area. Did well. What started to happen is the banks are starting to get a little more tight on lending money, and people that need alarm systems generally don't live in the nicest neighborhoods, and sort of saw that to be a little bit of a challenge. So took what I had, sold it, made a
Okay.
little bit of money, nothing to write home about. And in the process, I had a big motorhome, a 40-foot motorhome,
Oh,
right?
big
So
RV.
big one. And I went to Atlanta in 1995, and they were talking about the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I ended up finding a gentleman that was big in the apparel world, and he said, "Man, we'd love to take that motorhome of yours and follow the Olympic torch run." So I said, "Well, how would that work?" And next thing you know, I'm 980 cities and
Oh, you
28,000
went with it?
miles.
You didn't rent
It,
out your RV?
I said, "Listen, I'll come
I'm
with
going.
you. Let's
Yeah.
do this together. I can, put some people together. I think that's probably what we need." And we figured it out along the way,
Was
and
this to
just
create like a video? I mean, like,
we were selling T-shirts and bumper
so you were
stickers.
following them around selling merchandise, basically.
Yes, for merchandise, and the torch never
Interesting.
stopped. So
And
it
he had
was
the licensing rights to do that?
so all the license material. Coca-Cola was a sponsor, so
Right.
it
Of
was
course,
a
they're Atlanta's
Coca-Cola
their headquarters.
shirt,
Yeah.
and the whole torch run. So one specific shirt that they had that was
Okay.
real good for the torch run. So that was quite an endeavor, as you can
That
only
was the
imagine.
Olympics where that bomb went off, right?
That's correct.
Or
9 day.
almost went off, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
day nine bomb. Yep. If
Yeah.
there was. So did that while I was on the run. I met some guys that were like, "Are you going to do political campaigns? How does that work?" "Oh yeah, they're even better." "Oh
Right.
really?"
Of
Well,
course.
because you don't have to get licensed because they're political people. So
Right.
it was, you can use their face and their
Yeah.
picture
It
and all
just
that.
supports their campaign.
For sure.
Right.
So did the Democratic and Republican dual Kemp, and
Okay.
Clinton was the second term, and did that, which was, again, I did 42 states twice in the same year.
So it was the
So in that,
same thing. You would follow them around to where they're making appearances and then sell
correct,
merchandise.
correct.
Wow.
It was very, very exciting because people didn't buy going in; they bought after they heard the speech.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they sort of go in and
Get
okay,
all
and
rah rah
Bill
excited.
Clinton is a
Yeah.
phenomenal
Yeah,
speaker.
he is. He's a
And
great
it was
speaker.
unions up, north, and no
Right.
unions down south, and it was
And then they're
interesting.
all pumped up. They all want to
Yeah,
buy shirts and hats and
yeah,
whatever, right?
absolutely. And the Republicans not so much. You know
No,
what I mean? They're more lapel pin, something a little classier, if you
that's
will. But
funny.
the Democrats, for sure, that was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
So
So
what
while
did you do? You had like a guy who's making them, shipping them to you in different parts of the country?
That's exactly right. So I would find the merchandise I liked that I could see could sell well, and then I would just contact whoever's making the button or whoever that was and say, "Good, I'll take 10,000, and here's where I'll be," and FedEx them to me or UPS. And
Yeah, because you had to have the goods there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And here's the problem: finding out where the president's going to be is very difficult.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a secret.
You're right. Yeah. So they don't like to give you the whole tour schedule,
Right.
right? And he's in a
That didn't
jet.
work out,
And
I think, in Dallas in 1963.
that's
Yeah,
exactly
they
it.
published that one. That was the
Yeah,
last time
right,
they did
right.
that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Come see the president.
It's not funny,
So
but it's
yeah,
it's kind
yeah.
of like, I had a
No,
friend work for the Secret Service. He said the only person in the government that can't override the Secret Service is the president.
right,
The vice president wants to be stupid and end up dead. That's his choice, but we're not the
right.
president. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So how did you? Yeah. So obviously,
So
how'd you
I
find?
would call the White House every day and call the press corps and where's the president going to be? And they would tell you 2 days out,
Oh,
one
that
day
much?
out.
2 days?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 2 or 1 day. And, and
Okay.
and the problem is he is in a jet, and you don't have a jet. And so I was,
Yeah.
catching the ones that I could. And
Yeah.
if you're on the West Coast, then I had to
He's
drive to
going
the
to
East
Hawaii. You're
Coast.
not going
And
to
yeah,
get there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Or he would do Portland, Oregon, and Portland, Maine the next day.
You're
And
kidding.
so it was like, yeah, they were just, I would never
Yeah.
be able to catch them all.
Just
So I
because
was,
of the way the schedule worked, right?
yeah,
Like
that's
Portland, Maine
it.
was ready for him, so he got on
Yeah,
a
that's
plane
it.
and he went
That's
over
it.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun, and really was funny. At one time, I see the same Secret Service because there's details that just go with the president. So if you
Right.
go to 30 or 40 or 50 rallies, you start seeing the same people, right?
Yeah.
Especially. So I ended up talking to one guy, and they said, well, hey, I'm just selling T-shirts and buttons and all the rest. He's like, oh, we know what you're doing.
Oh yeah, they
And I
know
was like,
everything you're
yeah,
doing.
that's what he said. He goes, well,
Yeah.
remember how that news station was talking to you that day? Well, that wasn't a news station. You know what I
Really?
mean? They
No.
were
They're not
asking me
going to
like,
let you near
yeah,
that place
yeah.
without knowing everything about you.
Yeah, who is this kid?
They probably know
So,
what you had. Oh, we know what you ate for lunch yesterday. Yeah,
right.
that's
So
their job.
so do you remember this was 96, 97,
Okay.
Green Bay won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So this is, when's the
That was
last time
Brett
they went?
Favre, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was back in the day. So
Right.
I was in the merchandising business and I had pennants. So I'd go and get those pennants that people would put on their walls. So I went to the manufacturer the night of the Super Bowl because I was close to Green Bay. And
Right.
I said, if they win, I'll just take 5,000 pennants and I'm
Because they
going.
had the licensing to print
Yeah,
them. They had the license.
they had the NFL license, correct. And there's certain, manufacturer out the country. So I
Right.
sat at the actual manufacturer, watched the Super Bowl. They won. I took literally 5,000 pennants before, Dick's Sporting Goods,
Right.
before
Yeah, they weren't
Modell,
around.
before, I'm
So
just
you were
think I'm
waiting there.
ripping.
Whoever won, you were going to take
Yes,
their
yeah,
pennant.
no matter what, no
Right.
matter what. So drove up to Green Bay and it was 4 o'clock in the morning and there's a
Where were
traffic
you
jam.
getting the
The
merchandise?
Winona, Minnesota. So it was in
Oh, it's
Winona,
not that far. So it
Minnesota.
wasn't like
Yeah.
you were down in Tennessee.
That's why
Okay.
I was actually there thinking if it did work out into my favor, then I could grab it and make it because the second question, you have to get there before the parade. Because when the parade comes, that's the following day and, the whole 9 yards. So got there at 4 o'clock in the morning, traffic jam, sold out before the parade started. Literally everything I had gone.
Because everybody wanted, right.
Because it was the real stuff and it was
Yeah.
Super Bowl champ and it was, it was
And those
nobody
guys,
else had
that's the
it.
only team in the NFL that's owned by the public, that's publicly
Right.
owned.
Very
So
prideful.
they're all like,
Very
they live and
prideful.
die. Yeah. You're a
So,
real hustler in those days.
man, listen, so I did NFL, NBA, NHL. Once I understood it, I would go to the manufacturer.
Why not? Right.
And go to every city and just praise cities that never won before, like Utah,
Right. Because
San
they're going to
Antonio,
buy everything.
Detroit sweeps with the Stanley
It's not like
Cup
New
in
York. They're going to
1997.
buy all their shit. Yeah.
Yes.
And this was all in your RV?
Yeah, well, I actually couldn't do it all in the RV because when those certain teams won San Antonio and others, I had to fly. I had
Because
to
you
put
couldn't
it
get there
all,
fast
get
enough.
a ticket, get to the city, and I was selling at the airport. I mean, flying in that day, I'd rip the thing over there. It was like feeding fish. How much? Give one
How
to the
would they
police
pay
officer.
you in those days? You didn't have like a
Everything
cell
was
phone with a
cash.
swipe card.
Everything was
It
cash.
was cash.
1997.
People had cash in those days. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cash. It was all cash.
Right.
So that a lot of fun, But look, what it made me realize was I wasn't going to become financially free, and I was making money, and that's really where the shift started to come to look at passive income, scaling. What else can I do? Because I study people that do the same thing I do, and I'm
Right.
looking at guys that, hey, that the NFL, NBA, NHL one. I used to always think, why isn't other people doing it? Like that to me.
Yeah,
is
there's a
always
reason for that.
you
So you
know
can
what I
make
mean?
money, but you're hustling. You're on the
It's
road all the time. You're not making a fortune. You're
That's it.
chasing the next
That's it.
the next
That's it.
wave.
That's
Yeah,
it.
sure, it's understandable.
So that's what I fell into network marketing, so direct sales.
Right.
So I got a presentation and I was like, I like this. I can't do it right now. Give me every audio you have, right? So I took
Right.
all their cassettes
This
and
was-
as I was driving around,
What was the first network
it
marketing
was
program?
the same company that I still work at today. It's
Oh.
called ACN.
Okay.
And it was phone service through network marketing, direct sales. So I'm thinking to myself, this is a neat idea. Give the service away. Everybody's got to use it, but I'm not ready to do it now. So Mitch, I took all of the audios and listened to them as I drove around the country, preparing for when I'm ready to do this. Like
Okay.
I'm thinking, okay, I need to learn how they're doing it and
Right.
and get ready to do it. And then I just said, okay, great. I'm stopping this and I'm jumping into the direct sales industry. And that's what I did.
And what did they do in those days? There wasn't any voice over IP, right?
No, we did local long distance.
Okay.
So local phone service, long
Right.
distance phone service, dial-up internet. That was our big,
Right.
Launch. And
Yeah, then DSL came, right?
pagers.
Oh yeah, pagers was still big. Was
yeah.
the Blackbirds weren't even out yet at that point, right?
No, cell phones were just coming, but they were super
Right.
expensive.
And you could open a store. You could have like your own cell phone store. It wasn't like
Right.
Verizon you compete with. Yeah.
And so
Okay.
that's how I jumped into the direct sales.
Yeah, in those days,
industry.
people don't know. You used to pay for long distance service.
Oh,
and it was
the dial
competitive.
one get paid. Dial
Yeah.
one get paid. I mean, if you're a millennial right now, they have no idea there was a yellow phone on everyone's wall that
They
we
don't even
leased
know.
and we rented. That plastic $5 a month. The phone probably cost $3, and we rented it for $5 a month.
Yeah, I was in the city once, and my kids go, "What is that?" I go, "That's a phone booth." It's
Yeah.
not really a booth anymore. It's just like a standing thing. They go, "Where's the phone?" There was just a wire hanging out there. I said, well, they don't know phones anymore.
Yeah. So, that's really where I started to dive into that next level business, if you will. and, getting the mentorship and getting affected by people that were successful and that were willing to show you what they were doing. See, the problem in business, internet's really flattened that, I think now. I think information's so
Yeah,
available
it's a
for
lot. It's very
people.
fungible. Yeah.
Back then, you know what I mean, to learn things, and you bought books, you had to get audios, you had to go
Right.
to events, there was, all that stuff was held very tightly.
You had to get somebody to take you under their wing type of thing.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So, fortunate enough for me, I found a great company that, continued to evolve, and I evolved right with them. And, over the years, success came alongside of the hard work. And the beautiful part about what I do from that perspective was anybody could do it. You know what I mean? It wasn't,
There were no
as we
barriers to entry, really.
as we talk about other opportunities and things that I do today that are exciting, but they're capital intensive. And,
Yeah.
I think that's really a challenge for a lot of people,
Especially
especially
new
when you're,
entrepreneurs, right? Yeah.
and when you got one foot on, with a paycheck coming from a career or a job, and you're trying to go out and start this business, the last thing you want is a lot of stress over capital.
Right.
Just because, it really ruins both at the same time in a lot of cases.
And it increases your risk too.
Oh, big time. Yeah. So that's really,
And the company's network marketing and affiliate marketing, like you get paid on the service and you get paid for people that you bring into the business.
That's right.
Okay.
And what they do is they have electricity now, high-speed internet now.
Yeah,
So
they've
as
grown.
technology changed, they just said, we'll go get you customers.
Expanded their portfolio. Yeah.
Absolutely. And because we're not married to technology, watch the companies like MCI, others that, when I started, these were the names in the industry that, aren't even around anymore. And, ACN just continued to grow and continue to bring on new services, and eventually went into other countries. And then when they went into other countries, that just opened up more people to become customers. And so, the customer base just continues to grow, and you get a piece of the bills. And even to today, I have dial-up internet customers that I still make money on.
Yeah, well, I know. I met a guy who sells dial-up internet like in the Midwest. They don't have the high-speed stuff that we do in the big
Isn't
cities.
it me? Yes.
You know how long must it take for today's websites to load on a dial-up connection? It must take a day.
I'd move.
I mean, do you remember when the internet first started, you'd find like a picture, you'd sit there, it would load each line, right? So now it must take like hours for a basic website to come up. I mean, they don't know any better. They, I don't know.
Or no other opportunities, that's just it, to your point, some of these areas, that's it. So satellites helped out a little bit in those parts as well.
But basically the big companies have no incentive to run high speed out there. They don't make enough money.
That's right. Right. Customer costs too much,
I mean, that's why the government was getting involved and saying, listen, let's force them to do it. But then they changed that, I think. Net neutrality got thrown out the window. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be in your wheelhouse. So that really allowed for me to do a couple of things. One, build a big network of people. All my great ideas came from other people, associations. Second thing is, you become a better person. As to your point about somebody who's in marketing or sales. You got to really become a great human being, great listener, great question asker. I mean, just you're right on point with what you do. I mean, this is truly, for anyone that's looking to go to the next level, those skill sets you need to have, and you can actively go get them, or, experience is going to give them to you, one or the other.
Right.
And so that then allowed me to open up other opportunities over the years, and, things that I work on today, still funded by what I make at ACN. So, that income has allowed for me to start to do other things that are capital intensive in every case. I was going to say in a lot of cases.
But now you have the money, you can do the investments.
And not so concerned about making them work right away. I think a lot of times as business owners, money's the last thing to show up. So it's like, when you start a business, I just tell you, look, just remember, the problems are going to show up, the investments are going to show up,
the bills,
everything is going to be money. That if you're asking about the money, you want to rethink the business, because it's going to take a minute for that part to come together, for sure.
For sure. So when you got involved, and this is a good lesson for people that are looking to get involved in network marketing, and there's thousands of companies out there, some good, bad, some indifferent. Would you say, like, if somebody gets started with it, how long do they got to give it to kind of, it's a long haul, right? I mean, you got to stay involved.
It's
and give up after 3 months.
In the benefit of network marketing is anyone can do it. So it's just like the public library.
Right.
Anybody can go, anybody can read, anything you ever wanted to know is all available at the public library, and it's absolutely free.
Right.
Okay, great. So because it's free, you also have, we don't need to go, or we're not going to spend any time there because it didn't cost anything. So network marketing is a tremendous business, but it is a business. And I worked it, as I did other things prior to this, as hard, if not harder,
Right.
to get a level of success that I wanted to achieve. And that
Sure.
meant, look, if you were getting married, I wasn't coming. If you were
Right.
going to bachelor party, I wasn't coming. Family reunion, I
Because you're
wasn't
always
coming.
working.
I wasn't coming. Like,
Right.
period, done, over and out. I wasn't coming. I didn't care. Best friend. And, there was big sacrifices for that, and I think a lot of people aren't prepared to do those things, because it's like, oh, I don't have to go. I can go to my cousin's wedding. I can go to a bachelor party, but there's a cost that you're,
Right.
with that. So I religiously, showed up every day for multiple years before I saw really any big returns.
Right, right. Well, I mean, it's like anything, right? If you do it slowly, you're never really going to take off. If you work real hard, you take off. Then
So,
eventually you get to cruising altitude and you reap the rewards of your hard work. I hear a
for
lot of
sure.
people, oh, I tried that, it didn't work. I go, well, it works for somebody.
Yeah.
And it's probably for the people that put time in and built their networks and got to know people and put the time in and kept growing. And, we're real business people about it.
It's relationship driven, and you've got to create relationships, and they take time, and you've got to go out and network and do the things that you would do no matter. Look, you're in the law business. We have got accountants that are watching here. We got insurance people. What business doesn't do those things? They
Right.
all do it.
The ones that
So
don't
I
make
just
money.
think that, I just think that the difference is, to your point, is because people spend a lot of money to get into a business. Hey, I bought a farmer's insurance and I dropped whatever
Right.
that number is. The gun's to my head. No one
Yeah.
has
So
to
they're
tell me to
more,
go,
right.
go do it. So back to the public library, kids at Harvard pay a lot more money, and the more you pay, the more you pay attention. So
Right.
my,
That's a
my
good point.
feeling is,
But if
if,
people put the same amount of time and effort into the less the lower entry
yes,
cost things, it doesn't have to be network marketing,
that's right.
they would get good rewards too. They just got to take it kind of seriously.
And I think sometimes the lack of investment takes that seriousness away. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah,
Whereas if
because a
you,
lot of the people get involved, they don't do a lot of it always floats up to the top 20% or
yeah,
10% or whatever,
yeah.
right?
And I hear, the guy at the top makes all the money. Well, that's in every business. You
Yeah,
know what I
right.
mean? Every industry. Yeah. The LeBron, if you look at what he gets paid
Right.
compared to everybody else in the NBA, you know what I mean? There's a big difference, and is he at the top? Well, yeah, he is probably one of the best ones on the floor right now. So
Right, right, right.
same in our industry, the top people always make a lot of money because they're
Well, it
top
also
people.
has to do with the size of the sales force. So if you're coming
True.
in, you can build your own group under you, but if it's a well-known product, there's obviously going to be more competition
For
that
sure.
people have it than, if something that's newer. So obviously that, you get in earlier into any company,
Mm.
you can potentially from time, do better, but there's also more risk with a newer company, right? So it could go out of business.
First one through the gates, the bloodiest. I'm
Yeah.
always, I don't want to be the pioneer. I liked America when they had running water and
Yeah,
electricity. I
right.
didn't
You
want to
don't
be
want to be
the,
the guy who goes hooking up the water. Pfft, what is this? It's like, got to go to the outhouse. And then somebody
yeah,
says, well, we got running water in the house. You're like, you do?
yeah, yeah.
That type of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I think,
I
yeah,
like a little more. I mean, if I could give anyone opinion, that would be, I would say there's a lot of great companies out there. I would go with an established one
yeah,
because that's the only variable you can't control, is
right,
if they're not going to be here.
right,
So if you go with one that's established, they've already weathered the storm. The first 5 to 10 years is going to be the breaking or making point,
right.
because it's not just getting started as a business, but as you know, as owners, people change with money. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that guy has great intentions, but he hasn't made $100 million yet.
There's a different kind of business at that level. A lot of these businesses fail because
Yes.
they're good at being a small shop with a guy who's running a
Yeah.
business, but he
Yeah.
can't be a CEO,
Yeah.
you know?
You're 100% right. And in network marketing, because it's going to geometrically grow, that person's can never run a small shop because the ownership team is always going to have to expand and grow. I mean, even ACN opens new countries, invests in new services. I mean, it's a constant reinvestment for the owner when I see the
Right.
ownership and what they're spending. I'm in for 199. You know
Right.
what I mean?
You're
You know what I
good.
mean? Yeah. They paid more for their flights to go to a new country to open it up than I did to get into the
Right.
business.
But if
So,
they want to keep growing, they got to increase the portfolio and they
yep.
got to increase their, and you can only, once you're around the world, you can't go to other planets, at least
Yep.
not yet. So you
Hmm.
got to increase as technology changes the offering as you saturate the marketplace.
Yeah.
Now, are you involved in other businesses?
I am. One thing that I found in ACE, in direct sales, if you will, just get a great partner. So I find people that are passionate about something,
Okay.
that I know that they're on their way to do something great because I can see it coming a mile away. And how do I help you? And what I find, not only financially help, but also masterminding help. Because you've been there and done it so many times, sometimes you just have to,
Right. So
keep
you're
them
talking
off
like
the edge.
businesses where you mentor them and
That's
maybe
it.
invest capital in the business
Yes.
as more of a silent partner
Yes.
and grow your portfolio that way.
Yes, yes.
So can you tell
And
me about some of the
sure, sure.
interesting
And
businesses
and
you're
and
involved
because having capital, you know what I
in?
mean, that's the other side of it all. So, one thing that we're in COVID, it's been a little difficult, but Indian food is a very uptrending thing right now in the US.
Right.
It's the only thing never been franchised. If you look at Indian food, I mean, I'm talking McDonald's franchise or
Yeah, no,
Five
no. I mean,
Guys,
there's
or you know what I
Greek
mean?
now you're
Yeah,
starting to see. Obviously,
sure.
Mexican's big. Yeah.
Yep.
Pizzas even,
So
Blaze. Yeah.
it's now again we're struggling as everybody in the restaurant business is, and selling franchises probably won't happen till post COVID, just because I don't think anybody right now would run into a restaurant business.
Right.
Super expensive to get into, as build outs are hundreds of thousands of
Yeah,
dollars, and
sure.
there's no 10-15 year leases and things that I think right now we got to sort of weather the storm. But I feel that if you're still here after the storm, there's a big opportunity. I
For
think of
sure.
Forrest Gump, when he was on the out in the shrimp, and the big storm came in, and
Right.
he
And he
came, he was
survived.
he was the only shrimper
True.
left.
There was a
So,
bunch of restaurants being built in my town. I think Bear Bar is a franchise and things.
yeah.
Bear Burger, and a
Hmm.
couple other things. And they're dormant now. I mean, they're
Yeah.
silent. They never opened. I don't know if they will open or whatever. But if they were able to, yeah. But right now you can't go indoors. I don't know about you, but you can't do that here.
Absolutely. So, we're doing delivery, we're doing that thing, we're getting our brand out there, we're
So you
having
have what, a couple of
success.
locations at this
We have
point?
right now we've got one in Allen, Texas, which is the suburbs of Dallas. It's making money.
So
Nothing
that's
that
like the
we
test site main
exactly. So
one.
how we build it, you build one, you bring that's the test kitchen. That's the one that everybody comes through to get trained. That's where you can see the whole concept. Here's how, the
Right.
customer experience feels, and here's the numbers we've been able to do. And so you need one to actually, be able to sell multiple ones. So that's really where we got things kicked off at.
So it wasn't like this guy had an Indian restaurant and you met him and you said, "Oh,
Mhm.
maybe we should franchise." This is like you're building a community and this is a model home.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
exactly it. It's seeing things before they happen is what I predict.
Well,
Like
that's
this
what
in
you
in
always
the
want to do,
the
right?
food industry, most people open 3 or 4 restaurants, then they want a franchise.
Yeah.
Okay, well here's the beautiful thing. If you go into the business as I'm ready to franchise,
Yeah.
meaning, so then you're building it with the menu, you're
Right, with that
building it with
intent.
exactly it, all the
Yeah. Some
manuals, how to
restaurants are hard to franchise without a lot of changes.
that's exactly it. How to greet the customer, all that stuff documented. You know what I mean? Where to buy the chairs, how many chairs to buy, how much of this, how much, everything you're going to need laid out and ready to go. So the beautiful part is that's the whole intent. To your point, when we started it, is great. This is a franchise, and why we think the Indian space is big, because of just the natural need for this particular, cuisine. Even
Well, it's
second
also a bigger
generation.
community now in the United States. It's
Yes,
growing.
yeah. And
And you're
they might
right,
not
that's
have
not
grown
around.
up
Any
there.
Indian restaurants are privately owned. They're not,
That's right. That's it.
no.
And so if you didn't grow up in India, but your parents did, you have the naan bread, the buttered chicken, so you're already familiar with the food because your parents are cooking it. There's nowhere to get it outside of a handful of places, and nothing standardized.
Yeah.
So, the benefit of
Now, Allen, Texas is not in the wake of the hurricane, is it?
no, it's outside of Dallas. So
Oh,
you're
good.
probably
Okay.
you're 6 or 7 hours north. Yeah, they're fine. So yeah, right.
Yeah.
The other thing is, in the photography space, we started a studio where photographers can come and bring their clients and use different sets to shoot different photos. And we're doing this also in Dallas, and very exciting stuff right now because a
Different
lot
partners?
different partners.
Okay.
Yep. The interesting thing with this particular endeavor is there used to be the old studios. You and I growing up, your
Yeah.
family portraits, all that thing. You made an appointment. There was
Yeah, it was a guy in my
people.
town,
Yeah,
Dave
yeah.
Rossi Photography. He's still around, but he's not there anymore. It's too expensive and whatever.
Yeah, and so again, now everybody has a cell phone, so now they can take a picture, and so now you're eliminating a lot of that need for a big studio for these guys. But
Right.
people still get married, and people still have kids, and people still have wedding anniversary pictures. So we built it multiple rooms. There's 6 studios in one building.
Okay.
Come in, you can use any one you want. You pay by the hour, and it's yours. So what we're finding is because of even with COVID, it's trending up the other way. It's going really well because everybody's got to get a better Instagram picture. They got
Oh,
to get a
that's
better
funny. Yeah.
Facebook. They
Right.
got to get their website up and running. If they have they have to come in and take food pictures of their menus and things that you know what I mean. Now that everybody's going digital and everybody's online, it was really just made it grow very, very quickly for people that said, hey, I got to look better online. I really
Interesting.
don't
So
have
then they
good
hire the
pictures
photographer.
online.
Photographer doesn't need to pay for full-time studio space.
Yes, yes.
How long's
Yeah.
that business
So
been
we've
going?
been up and running for about a year.
Okay.
Things have gone really well. We're actually looking at our second location. We're going to go to Austin, so we're looking at the Austin, Texas. That's really growing area. And then as we get going, we're going to move up north because I think this
But
would be
that's a
even.
chain. That's a corporate chain
Yep,
concept, not a
that's what we want
franchise.
to do. No, we want to, own it all, package it up, and then be able to make some decisions down the road. But the beautiful part about it is don't need the best locations. Some of the things that are expensive,
Yeah.
today because
No,
your
you need a warehouse,
customers.
basically.
That's it. That's it.
I mean, shit,
Standardize the.
Shutterfly could buy something like that from you or whatever.
Yeah,
People do their own pictures. They
yeah,
can go. They don't have to be professionals, right?
yeah,
If you want to
yeah.
go in and take some pictures, you do with your
Yeah,
camera.
with all the right lighting, with all the right
Yeah. Give them a
backdrops,
tripod, hook up their, yeah.
yeah, everything that they need. And to your point, a lot of people are amateurs, meaning we have probably 20% professionals, 80% is just average every day that are coming in to shoot some pictures,
Yeah.
and because of social media, they're putting it out, they're tagging
Right.
us. People are, you know what I mean. So now you
Yeah.
get this whole cross pollination
Yeah,
of
of
my
course.
buddy
They're
was
marketing
here,
for you.
I saw his picture. And we're even looking at how do we go later hours? You know what I mean? Like right now we're 9 to 11, and people, and then maybe reduce the cost of later in the evening. Hey, if you want to come at midnight and get some photos, you pay half of what
These are
you would
people
if you
coming
would.
after work, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So, got it. You got, everything is automated. We got your credit card. Come on in, cameras everywhere. Here's the code. Go use the stuff. I mean,
Right.
eventually we'd like to get to that point where we don't even need to physically be there, outside of somebody that comes in probably twice a day and cleans up, just wipes things down and makes sure
Yeah.
everything is,
Spray.
the way we want it. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Now, inquiring minds want to know. So you're in
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
You never mentioned that you lived in Texas. You lived in
yeah,
Nashville.
yeah.
How'd you hook up with the Indian guy, and how'd you hook up with the photography guy?
Yeah, so networking, same thing, building teams. Like, I was in real estate heavy at one point because of
Okay.
people that I met ACN.
Like
People,
renovations, flips, things like that?
yeah, and buy and holds, and we were
Okay.
flipping apartments at one point. You know what I mean? Just forced appreciation, get the rent roll up, and then sell the building. And again, so all of those things came through my network marketing business, just because that's where I meet people. And as I meet them, just like I meet you, Mitch, and their passion is, hey, I'm doing ACN to generate money for X. Okay, great. Tell me
Ah,
about X. You know what I
okay.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm here
It was a
because,
method to their madness.
right,
Yeah.
right. You know what I mean? Like, look, what do you do? Money's a tool.
Right.
What are you gonna do with all your money? You just want to roll around in it? No, I want to take my money and I want to do this. Interesting. Tell me more about this. And you get to observe who they are when you work with them.
Right.
So it's a great opportunity also because as a partnership, as being an attorney, usually don't end well. You know what I mean? I try to talk
Too
people
often they
out
don't.
of
No.
partnerships. When people go, hey, I want to be a
Yeah.
part of my best friend, like, you and your best friend, want to stay best friends?
It's
You probably
hard.
don't want to. You probably don't
Yeah.
want to be
Or
partners.
document the shit out of that thing,
Oh, you got to pay for it all,
Yeah.
and not even
Because that's the
things.
biggest problem with friends. You shake hands, you love each other, you this, you that, and
And then the
something
emotions
goes,
get
it's fucked
involved,
up.
and
Yeah, you misunderstand each, and maybe you both feel, you both mean well, but you remember it this
yes,
way, he remembers it this way.
yes.
Boom. It's not good. Yeah.
Partnerships give you the ability to blame.
Yeah.
And so, solo entrepreneur, you have no one to blame but the mirror. So it's, that never even occurs to you that I should be upset because it's all up to you.
You.
Whereas partnership, but again, over the years, I've been able to become better with people and give them a little more latitude and go to where they are and also be a little more upfront with them, to your point in the beginning of, I like Shark Tank when they ask, how much money do you have in? And, what are you willing to do?
Right.
Because I think that's the questions that every investor wants to hear.
Well,
Like,
because
how?
they're at that point, you're investing in the person. You're not investing
Yes,
in the concept,
that's right.
because there's a lot of good concepts. Execution's terrible. They don't ever go anywhere.
That's why people go, oh, I need you to sign an NDA. I'm like, listen, the ideas are a dime a dozen.
Right.
It's to your point, is implementation.
Yeah.
So, but my whole strategy is passive income, royalties. How do I get that, ongoing customer, a repeat, buy a membership at the
Right.
photography studio,
Yeah.
create your
No,
membership. You don't even
recurring
need,
income is a good
yes,
model.
everything that I can make an ongoing, buy 10 franchises, we get 5% of whatever you sell. There's so many ideas that I'm always looking for that. How do I continue to make money when I'm sleeping? Because at the end, that's really going to be the way to create long-term wealth.
Right. Well, it's hard to make money anyway, so you might as well do it the easier way, the better way, the more
Yes.
recurring way than just have to do it, redo. I mean, look, a lot of my legal practice, I have retainers and stuff like that, but a lot of it is they call me when they need me. It's not recurring income, not yet,
Yep.
not at this
Mm-hmm.
point, So look, that's why people are attracted to real estate. It's not for everybody, but it's, you have tenants and they pay rent and it recurs and,
And I think the best is the triple net lease. I mean, if you
well,
really
of
like, in
course, yeah.
my experience in real estate is, what I didn't appreciate is everybody doesn't pay, and and they treat your place like a rental car. And I used to ask people, hey, how do you treat rental cars? Oh, I
Yeah.
treat them horribly. Well, that's how they're going to treat your property. So,
Right,
get ready for them to come
good
with that.
analogy.
It ain't mine. So
Right,
what I
right.
found when it isn't mine, it's always like,
I know a guy used to buy post offices. Like, they were these towns that would be looking to raise money. They would be auctioning off their post office, and you buy the post office. It was all triple net. You nothing but a
yes,
check. Now, of course, I don't
yes,
know if that's such a good investment anymore.
yes,
Post office
yes.
is going to go out of business, but yeah,
Rite Aid, you know what I
yeah,
mean? The
right. Those they do
Walgreens,
20-year lease backs and
Yes,
stuff.
that's
Yeah,
exactly it. So that's, again, that's how to grow your money. Great, make your money and then figure out how to grow it. But to our point is really be mindful of exactly how that's going to look 3, 6, 9, 12 years down the road. And then also, what it's going to take to get to that 12-year mark, because the first 5 years are the hardest. And most people can't weather that storm, and some of it's not only financially, it's emotionally. Sometimes you get to that point where it's never going to work, and then you just manifest that conversation into, you're right, it's not going to work.
right.
So.
Yeah, you talk yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people sometimes don't give things enough chance, and I think they also. And I was talking to a guy yesterday, who was it yesterday, or 2 days ago, who's he's a young kid, but he's involved with flipping
Yeah.
houses and stuff. I met him through another guy who's in a real estate system, and they did a 7-day flip. They actually
Wow.
did. They ended up doing 2 duplexes in 7 days. They did
Okay.
4 units, 7-day flip, from contract to, not to keys, but from
Mm-hmm.
contract to being
Yeah.
listed for sale, right?
Yeah.
So, and he said, and it was a good point, that a lot of people get involved in things and they feel like they fail, and then they're like, well, it didn't work. He said, our first deal we did, we borrowed money from somebody, we flipped the house, it was a disaster. I think we barely got him his money. We didn't get his money. We lost money, and then we paid him back over the years.
Yeah.
We learned a lot,
Yeah.
but we weren't like, oh, we're never going to do this again.
Yeah.
It took
Yeah.
him a while to get it right. Now he's making a lot of money, but I think people just give up. They don't, first of all, especially in network marketing, you don't need a business plan, right? You just go, you sign up, you do it, but you really do. You need a strategic plan. You got to have a plan of way to do it, how you're going to do it, just like anything. And then if you stick to your plan and you see it through and you say, listen, I know this is going to be hard for 6 to 8 months.
Right.
I shouldn't expect to make money for 10 months to 12 months. If I make it before, it's gravy, right?
Yeah. Don't
Then
tell
maybe
anybody.
we would have, and you'd have different expectations, right? You would manage your own expectations. If you don't expect it, then you're just happy if it happens. And I think probably your attitude was a good one.
I think to your point, you got to manage expectations. And I think as people in real estate's a great analogy. I mean, every time I meet a contractor, I'm always like, the first deal you did for free, didn't you? 100% of the time. Like the first time you bid that job was free, wasn't it? You
Right.
know, by the time you figured out because you didn't know any of the, you had nothing to compare it to. And so to your point, yeah, look at that as experience, and that you need experience, and that's what they're going to pay you for down the road, is that experience and that, that knowledge going into it of what things are going to cost and what you're going to make, and, be able to have that understanding. And, you will make money. It just takes time and takes experience.
Yeah, I interviewed a guy recently who was looking to raise money through angels and VCs and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and he went to all these pitch contests, and he figured the first 10 of them, I'm not only going to lose, but I'm just going to screw this up as best as I can, and I'm going to learn and grow. And
Yes.
he raised more than $1 million on a crowdfunding site after that.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was the attitude of, I'm learning, I'm not failing.
That's right. John Maxwell has Failing Forward, a great book. Again, it's all about that attitude of the experience. Hey, look, I have to, go through this in order to be. I tell people, you're going to be bad before you're good. Why does everybody at their last hours of life say, I should have did this and I should have done that? Because fear has left them.
Yep.
There's no more fear, and fear is fear of being awkward, because it's going to happen. I think to your friend's point, hey, I'm going to go pitch it 10 times, but by the 10th time, your language is good, your experience, you got, you know what to say, and what engages, what doesn't work.
But also the people that are telling you, Patrick, what are you doing that for? Network marketing? What, you selling phone service? That's not going to work. Now you're like, well, it did work. So, but it's hard. People want to knock you down.
Well, because look, when I went to college, and you relate, look, on Thursday night, I'd go to the library, right? And I remember my fraternity brothers like, what are you doing? It's Thursday night, Thursday. We got memories are forever, grades are temporary. My cousin got a job with a 2.0, and I was doing the right thing. And when you do the right thing, you make other people feel bad that aren't doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I was going to
come over to the dark side.
So when you start something new and your buddy's sitting there thinking, I should be doing something new, or starting a business, or getting outside of my comfort zone, and, misery hates to lose company, so.
Yeah. People want to go and have the fun and be part of the, I have a client of mine who's got, I don't know, now he owns 15, 20 properties as a cop. Wow. And he's good with his hands. When he was younger, he got a connection with some bank, and they were getting these properties, and they were small properties, 50, 100, 150. So, on the weekends, these guys will all be partying, and he wouldn't be there. And then they'd be like, well, hey, Mike, where have you been? He says, well, I'm working on, hey, why are you driving that BMW? I said, because when you guys are out drinking, I'm working on my properties. And now he's a cop just by choice, because he doesn't need the money.
Yeah.
His income, and he built it up. He paid his dues.
Pay the price.
Stuck with it. Yeah. Exactly. But these guys are all scratching their heads like, huh?
Yeah. And I think, hey, look, the people that listen, the people that are, tuning in, the people that are going to follow you, and the entrepreneurs you naturally bring into this, they're going to see the same thing. There's only a couple qualities you need. And, if you have them, great. And education is usually the last one. I tell people it's 99% confidence and courage and 1% education.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not saying with my kids in college and everything, don't go to college. Like, right, you should definitely get a degree, get an education. Yeah. But where you go, I think there's a book actually called Where You Go Is Not What You Will Become, something like that.
Yeah.
And my high school promotes it, my kids' high school. And because the kids get so caught up on where they're going to go to school and just get an education and learn life at the same time, and then go out there. And there's no correlation between where you went to school and how much money you make.
It's 100% true. And I think to your point is, once you get out there, realize, even I read an article, the guys that started Grubhub were asking restaurant owners where their challenges were, and thinking software, and last thing was delivery. And okay, can it be this simple? And all of a sudden that, went in one door and came out another for them in their business model, and what they've been successful.
Coronavirus, it's like, there wasn't a lot of, especially in the suburbs, there's no delivery out by me. There wasn't until they got DoorDash and Grubhub and Uber Eats. I think Uber Eats did something in the first half of the year because of Corona, like 4.6 billion in gross sales. Crazy number. Yeah, because you can't leave your house. So
for sure,
everything's getting,
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was right behind you with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, parting words, like advice, if somebody wants to get into, let's not be too broad, right? If somebody wants to
Hmm.
get into network marketing, for example, how
Hmm.
should they start? How do they start learning about it? They obviously can contact you, right? They can
Without a
contact
doubt,
you.
and look, I feel that there's only a couple things I would look for.
Okay.
I mentioned it earlier. I would be with a legacy company just because of, yes, is there a better opportunity for the first guy in the door? Absolutely,
But
but
there's a
there's
lot of risk.
also
Yeah.
the chances of making it are very, very slim. And so
Right.
if I don't, I personally didn't have 5 years to burn. You know what I mean? So if you're in that position where, look, I can't waste the next 5 or waste the
Right.
next 10.
You want to go with
Look,
an
you got
accepted
to you got to
company.
go with one that has a track record of
Right.
success.
And it doesn't have to be Amway. There's a lot of companies out there that have been
There's a
around a long time.
lot. I mean, I
Okay.
could, the list is long of people that have been around longer than 15 years, and so that's easy to find.
Okay.
And the second thing is you got to get a mentor. My
It's good
opinion
advice.
is it's always easier when somebody else is giving you the next steps, because the better you do, the better they do. So
Right.
they're never going to give you bad information. They're always going to give you the right information
And
because
when
you're
you struggle, you're
sharing.
not alone either, right?
That's well, they come where you are and say that's normal and don't worry,
Yeah,
tomorrow's a new
right. Don't
day.
worry
And
about it. Here's a
yeah,
new
yeah,
opportunity. I went
yeah,
through that. Oh, I screwed up
absolutely,
more than that
yeah,
then,
a
right?
100%.
Yeah.
And so I think, and then the third thing is give yourself time. You got to have that. Look, it's not going to be the first 12 months, and you got to give yourself a little bit of that time in order for it to grow. And
Right.
so I would tell anybody, before you bought any business or did anything, network marketing is going to give you the personal skills. It's going to give you the leadership skills. It's going to give you the, hey, everybody that your friend isn't your friend. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody that said, I'll do anything for you.
Yeah, right.
Like
Then
that. You
not
know what I mean? Like that's a little bit of a reality
right.
check too for people to say, look,
It
brother, I
is.
thought
Hey,
you
I
would
got
be
a
there
store
to,
and we sell sneakers, and your best friend goes, I don't need any sneakers. Well, you got 2 feet. What are you talking
yeah,
about? Nah, they don't
yeah,
want to buy, and he's not
yeah.
your friend anymore.
Yeah, that's it. No, and I'm not saying do what I do, just encourage me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
right.
Mitch, I know it ain't for me, but I hope you make $1 billion because we're friends and I want to see my friends
Right.
win.
Refer you people or whatever.
So I would say that would be where I would start in business, because that's going to give you the network. It's going to give you the opportunity to get to meet yourself. And, a lot of times people don't like the person they meet the first time they meet them, because you have the perception of who you are and then you have who you are.
Right.
And so, look, I'm good at everything I do. And then you find out you really aren't. Or, hey, I'm
Right.
super committed. You find out you're really not that committed. So
Right.
find that stuff out now and get that opportunity to grow. And then when you do get into something that's going to take some real capital, and give up the 401k and give up the equity in the home and do the things that entrepreneurs really do when they have to get into something that's capital intensive. They go all in, and they go all in with everything they've
But do
got.
that second. Keep your job. Learn
100%.
about network marketing.
Yes,
Get started.
yes.
Slowly move your way and limit your
Yeah,
risk.
that's exactly 100%. And then
Definitely.
use the income to go do whatever you want to go do. And if your passion is to become a chef and you want to own a restaurant, great. Do it with money you've already created, so that you're not going in with the gun to your head under a very difficult time for a lot of people in business when they start.
Yeah. Well, if your restaurant got shut down during COVID and you were in network marketing, you'd still have that income.
Exactly. And I think now, look, multiple streams, I think everybody is now waking up to. And I think also getting multiple skill sets, because again, you can then, hey, learn a little bit about a couple things as opposed to
Right.
being just a master of
Yeah,
one.
because you can't
Because,
bank on whatever you're doing for the rest of your life. You're going to hit a
yeah,
roadblock of some sort.
for sure. For
All
sure.
right. Well,
Outside of your control.
definitely. Well, Patrick, I appreciate spending almost
Ah,
an hour with me
man, it flew
on the
by.
video. Yeah, and sharing all this stuff. And I'm always talking to people about different opportunities. They're bringing me stuff, and a lot of people kind of poo-poo things, and they just it's not for me, and they really should give it at least consideration. So I guess let me hold on, let me hit the mic here.